Well, if you have third grade math, that's the greatest. Third grade math is you know, you learn how to, huh?
Wait till you see the 8th grade fractions on that.
Oh, I know. Well, then you get into you know, algebra 1. But meanwhile, you've got all the tools that you need to shop and bank and whatever. You know, the basic tools of life for third grade. And all you've got to do is use, you know, your fractions, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, right? You're counting what kind of note values here? 8 notes. Okay, that's the smallest count. But it's how you count. And I'm a big believer in counting out loud. Now, if you're going a little slower and you're counting out loud, guess what happens? No, you're going to end up getting more of the notes correctly because you're going to see the rhythm and the notes a little bit better. And what happens if you make a mistake and you're counting out loud and you're going slow enough so that you can see what's coming up? You're going to play a mistake and keep going instead of it stopping. Okay? Well, one of the important things in practicing is we're practicing for what? What are we practicing for? Yeah, we're practicing to be able to play a piece. And when you're practicing to play a piece, you want to be able to have a sense of continuing. No one cares if you make a mistake here and a mistake there. If I had a dime for every mistake I made in performance, I'd be a multimillionaire. All right. And there are a lot of times when I played very note perfectly and I really didn't like the way I played particularly. And a lot of times where I hear, you know, well-known pianist or violinist or whatever play, absolutely not missing a single note, and it didn't do anything for me here. Okay? And there were a lot of times when I heard people play, and there were a lot of notes dropped on the floor. And guess what? I came out with tears in my eyes. You know, or felt rejuvenated and alive because the playing was so full of life. So that's the important thing is not playing without mistakes. That's a big thing that we have to be careful about. Learning to play with less and less mistakes, yes. But the important thing is to be able to play at a tempo that you can manage and to count out loud, okay? And then another thing, we're getting into how you practice now. All right? You're going along, really, you know, you're doing great. And then it falls apart a little bit because just of those two little things. Big deal, okay? But what do you do when you're practicing now? You come into a place where you're you put a little red marker, okay? And you say, and you practice that little part. I'm a very firm believer in not playing through a whole lot of measures at a time when you're learning something. Do it in small groups and little bits. And, you know, if you're an actor and you have to, you know, recite, you know, to be or not to be, that is the question, whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and hours of outrageous fortune, or by opposing end them, to die, or to sleep, you know, go on and on. When you have a big monologue like that. Do you think?
Yesterday, I actually had a play on Greece in my school to celebrate the first day of spring, or coming close to the end of the school year. And I played Johnny Casino.
Neat, good for you. But I bet you that when you played that you probably knew the piece better than a little bit better than this one, right?
A lot better.
Okay. Okay, so here we are making a few points about how to practice, okay? Try to just do a little bit at a time. It's like eating a meal. We don't put everything in our mouth all at once, all right?
That's what I do with all my sushi. I always end up with a stomach ache.
Yeah, see, a little bit at a time. You're going to enjoy it more, right? And your body's going to say, okay, I can handle that. So the same thing here. Just be a good organizer. Be a good organizer, all right? These are life skills. These are really important life skills. You know, there's been so many papers written about music study and its extraordinary value in our kids' lives. because it teaches us not just discipline and self-awareness, but organizational skills, yeah, and study skills. If you don't practice really at a high level of productivity, you're not going to get no place very easily, right? And whether you figure out some of this out on your own, or you have a good teacher who really sets up a structure for you.
I do.
Well, great. And you're going to take that into, good for you, because you're going to take that into everything else you do. It sets up your whole way of feeling and thinking about the world, all right? And a lot of schoolwork becomes much easier for those of us who know how to practice and play the piano. Really, really, really does. It's amazing. You know, this instrument more than any other, because we have to deal with different voices. You know, we're the entire orchestra here. So we're the people who are, we're the whole cast of the play, and we're the director, right? That gives you a big leg up in life. But how to practice and do that. So, you know what else about this piece? This is interesting. You know, I just came back from a 3-week tour in Japan, and it's a very, very different culture. I came with all these programs of both classical and classic jazz to play. But I had to play the theme from Frozen, and I had to play, yeah, and I had to and I had to play another piece. A piece. I was in Iwate province in Fukushima, where the horrible disaster took place, the earthquake, tsunami, and the nuclear plant disaster. So a lot of my concerts were benefit concerts, but I had to play. I learned, all of a sudden they gave me this music, and it was a song that was written for Fukushima, called Fukushima, and it was a kind of an anthem tribute to the disaster. And you know, a lot of the people for whom I played had lost their families or lost everything that they had, and so on. But they gave me this kind of thing. Now, this is called a lead sheet, which is a simplified version of something. All right? This is written, you know, somebody orchestrated it, but now they have this piano thing. And take a look at the left hand. Would you say it's really, really interesting? Yeah, let me trade places with you. Because here's what we got. When you have something that really sounds boring, use your good musical skills. You're all, you know, obviously you're able to play very nicely. You can, you know. I would take this left hand. This is all right. So you can make a chord.